Got the thing. Yes. Okay, hello. Welcome to day 2 of the Summer Drum-a-Long-a-Thon. Boy, it's wet outside, so if you were planning on going outside to do something, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you were planning that, because unless it was rubber boots and umbrellas. Of course, that's assuming you're here in Calgary, which may not be the case. So, welcome back to the Summer Drum-a-Long-a-Thon. This is day 2 of a summer-long thing we're going to do every weekday from noon till 1. We're going to play along with all sorts of tracks from Taiko no Tatsujin today. Yesterday I was mostly drumming on balloon drums. Today I'm going to drum on a variety of objects because I realize that a lot of you at home will be drumming on random objects too. So I started out with my peanut butter drum. This is actually a yoga stretchy thing from Dollarama, like a giant rubber band, and I just cut a little square off of it. Then you stretch it over your peanut butter jar. Use some rubber bands and hold it in place. It's a wonderful little guy. So I'll play with this a little bit. I'll play with some other random objects because the moral of the story today is that in music, when you play something is more important than what sound you make. And what sound you make is actually quite important, but when you make that sound is always going to be more important. So even if it's just little taps on a book, if you're putting those taps in exactly the right place, then you'll be making wonderful music that other people can join in with and play along. So to get people acquainted with what we're doing, we play along with a game called Taiko no Tatsujin. This game came from Japan. It showed up in arcades in the early 2000s. It's been ported to all sorts of video game consoles. I originally bought it on a Nintendo Switch. This is a PC version. You could get it on PS3. You could get a Nintendo Wii version. It sometimes comes with a little plastic drum controller. We're going to be putting it on auto mode today so that it doesn't care whether we're hitting the notes in time. We will know in our hearts whether we're hitting the notes at the right time. And what's going to happen is there will be a note highway, and the little notes will come down the note highway, and we want to hit the notes at the right time. There will be red and blue notes. In the arcade, when it's red, you're supposed to hit the middle of the drum. When it's blue, you're supposed to hit the side of the drum or the rim. So often it's like a kick drum snare situation. Just pick an object. One of them will be red, one of them will be blue, and then you will make 2 sounds, and then it will be wonderful music. So we're going to start with something nice and easy. I'm going to click on the thing. We're going to start with a song that's very easy. We're going to start in easy mode. This is called The 3 Marches Militaire, or Military Marches by Franz Schubert. We're going to start on easy mode. There's 4 modes of difficulty, and each mode of difficulty also has stars. So it can go anywhere from 1 to 10 stars. 10 is the hardest, 1 is the easiest. So easy has 10 different easies, normal has 10 different normals, etc. We won't be playing much extreme, although we will get to one of the side goals of the Summer Drum-a-Long-a-Thon later on, which is to learn a very difficult piece over the summer. But let's start with the easy piece. It sounds a bit like this. So grab your sticks, grab your tapping objects, and get ready to go. We started with this one yesterday too, but that's just because it's such a good introductory song. Okay, excellent. So I like the peanut butter drum quite a bit. Some of its strengths are it's got a nice bounce. One of the maybe weaknesses for playing along with this game is that it has a very long sustain. Sustain means that note it keeps vibrating for a very long time. And sometimes that's good, but sometimes it makes it a little bit muddy, especially when there's lots of fast. It's also quite high up. So we'll come back to the peanut butter drum. But this took me, 5 minutes to make. Maybe you didn't have 5 minutes. Maybe you just had to grab an object that was close by. Maybe you just have like a notebook. So here I'm going to just put a notebook down here. I'm going to put a folded up piece of paper on my notebook. That'll be red. That'll be blue. Maybe that's all you got. Let's keep going. We're going to do another track. Let's jump genres. There's lots of genres in this game. A lot of the music is in Japanese, so I don't know what they're saying, but I'm not a lyrics guy, so I'm okay with that. Let's jump to normal mode. Normal mode isn't that much harder than easy mode, so most of these we should be able to play, especially a 2-star normal mode song. If you get lost at any point, that's okay. Just try to hear the pulse of the song and look for a pattern coming down the track that you can follow along with. You will find your place. Drumming on the notebook was pretty good. I like the sound difference between this red and this blue. Downsides to drumming on this notebook, there's not a lot of bounce back. So I have to work kind of hard to lift the drumstick every time, where if it has good bounce, then, you know, you have to put less energy into it. This is a good time to talk. If you don't have a lot of experience holding drumsticks, the mistake most people make will be to death grip and just, like, you know, the sticks have nowhere to move. And when you hold the stick against the thing that you're hitting, it can't reverberate. So you actually want these to be quite bouncy. You could be holding it this way or this way, but really I'm just holding it between my thumb and my index finger, and then that gives it a lot of... It bounces up. Well, in this case, it doesn't bounce up very well. But on a drum, it bounces up really nice. All right, let's keep rolling with this. We had one classical song that was sort of a light pop song, maybe. Let's go to some video game music. This is straight from the late 80s, early 90s. Classic Mega Man tune. Let's stick on normal mode, but this is a 6-star normal. So this is going to be a lot trickier than the last one. That is okay. Sounds like this. If you're of a certain age, those sounds will, you know, warm the cockles of your heart. That's the Nintendo Entertainment System sound chip. All those beautiful square waves and white noise. Anyway, let's do this. I'm going to continue playing on my notebook and sheet of paper. Switch it up next time. So I might have missed a couple of, was late on a couple of those hits. And what happens when you miss a note? Nothing. Nothing happens when you miss a note. So it is okay if you miss a note. Nobody cares. So, notebook. Pretty good. Pretty good drum. I get two distinct sounds. Actually, you can get hitting the top of it. Gives you a bit more of a slappy sound, whereas hitting the rim gives you a slightly kind of lower thud. So you can kind of get a few different sounds out of it. Who knew? Coil notebooks. Let's try some other objects. How about this? A hunk of wood and a box, macaroni box. Let's try it. If you have some interesting objects that you're drumming along on at home, you know, you can communicate with me in the comments, because I pulled out some serious objects, a hunk of wood and a box. Let's play some serious music. Excerpt from Symphony Number 5. Let's go normal mode. I haven't played the fifth on normal mode for a little while, and it's a weird one. Let's try this on hard, because I actually think that like that hitting on the like one and the last note of that is harder than hitting 4 in a row. And I know that on hard mode they do require you to hit the drum 4 times in a row. There might be some other parts that are slightly harder. This is only a 5-star hard, so if it's a little bit too tricky, that's okay. Some of these parts you'll be able to play. If you get lost, just find it when you can. So let's try this hard mode. If this is your first hard mode, congratulations. that hard mode beatmap is just way more fun than the normal beatmap. And, you know, sometimes that happens. There's lots of normal beatmaps that are fun to play, but sometimes it takes the essence of the, you know, flow of the tune out of it, and it just doesn't quite work. Because this game, the way it works is the difference between normal, hard, easy, and all that. You'll notice that we're not slowing down the piece, and in normal music, that's how you learn it. When it's easy mode, you're supposed to be playing it really slow, and then you speed it up as you go. This way, you're always learning at the rhythm of the song, at the beats per minute. It's actually, you know, syncing in that way, and they just put fewer notes. They just throw fewer notes at you, so they because the song's always the same. They're just interpreting it however you want. I think this is a better way of, you know, leveling up as you go, because you're always learning the song at pace. It's actually really hard to get people to start really slow and then eventually learn it at the right speed. I just think it's very difficult, and it rarely works out very well after years and years of doing stuff. As an example of that, let's play a song that's way too stupidly fast. I'm not going to be playing this at extreme. It's extreme 10 stars. So that's silly. I'm sure there's a zillion notes, but we can probably eke out a normal mode. Actually, let's even go easy. This song is super fast, but we're going to play it on easy, and I'll bet you'll be able to follow along however you like, even if you've never done it before. Remember, we're sight reading all of these. So if you find one of them hard, that's because this is your first try, and usually it takes several tries to get it right. See, I have no interest in ever practicing that song slowly. Actually, if I was learning the 10-star extreme mode, then I'm sure I'd have to slow it down to learn it. But you know what I mean. That was not super hard, but we were playing it at tempo. from out the gate. And this is such a lovely way. It's a refreshing way to practice music and get better at it. Let's keep going. I got a bunch of tunes to play. We're gonna mostly play Taiko no Tatsujin today. We might do some Beatmap music originals a little later on. There's a few different categories. There's like pop music, there's Vocaloid, variety. That's not even a category if it's just everything. Classical, we have sometimes there's cartoon music or anime. Video game music, we're going to get to Megalovania later. And then Namco originals. This game is published by Bandai Namco, and they produce a lot of music games actually. So they have a large catalog of music that they have licensed over the years. So there's a bunch of Namco originals. I think we started with a Namco original. I think we started with that. Or no, we haven't played that yet. It's a bad sign, I can't remember. This one has a bit of a disco feel. I might switch my instruments out. I'm going to replace my Mac box with a roll of duct tape, which still has the plastic on top. I'm going to keep my hunk of wood because that's very good for the blue. All right. We're going to jump back to normal mode. This is a five-star normal song. That song is hilariously happy. A good tune for a rainy day. So rating my duct tape. It's pretty good. I like the sound of it especially. It's got a little bit of bounce. As long as you hit it right. The target's a little bit small. Because if I hit it not in the center, it's a much different sound. So you could use the rim actually as your blue, and then just use the duct tape. I'm going to keep going on the duct tape one more time. And let's pick up a new track. This one's a bit more rock and roll. Rock and roll in that Japanese boy band pop music kind of way, which is fine. Normal, 4-star. It's pretty fast. Alright, so another problem with the duct tape is it has diminishing returns, meaning the more you hit it, the less bounce it has. And it's pretty good, but it's getting worse. Yesterday, of course, I was drumming on balloons, which, as lovely as all these objects are, balloons are definitely the S tier fake drum set. If I put one of the balloons in a tube like this, you get a lovely slappy snare sound. And if you put one in your, you get a much more thuddy. So this is the definitive way to play balloon drums, or to play fake instruments that I've found so far. These are my favorite design. The slap is great. It's a lovely sound. The bounce is immaculate. So this is my setup of choice. Actually, let's do one with these. Gonna jump into a Vocaloid. Stick on normal mode. My balloon drum set up. Here we go. So yeah, the balloon drums are, of course, my favorite. But yeah, this tube I had to buy it at a place, and I didn't have to paint it, but I did paint it. And maybe you just have a balloon, so you can combine and mix some of these. Let's just go balloon between the legs and hunk of wood. Mix and match. Because yeah, balloons are easy to come by, and this takes no construction. Love the balloons between the legs. Where are we at? Let's do this song. It's happy. It's got a little bit of that chiptune vibe. I hope you are having fun drumming along. Let me know what kind of objects you're drumming upon, or whatever, or how you rank the objects you've seen me tap along on so far. What's your favorite? Maybe it's not the one that sounds the best. Maybe it's you just like hunks of scrap wood in interesting shapes. It's not an interesting shape. Let's play it that way. Okay. Let's do this one. Sounds like this. That song is fun for the, there's lots of offbeat stuff, which really teaches you when you play this game to look at the line coming down the note highway. The line, okay. When you're playing this game, of course, you're reacting to the visuals, but you're also reacting to the sound of the music. So you should be hearing the song, and there should be, like, what we call the pulse of the music should start to, actually, you can see little Don Chan above me bouncing. And this game is awesome because it always has objects dancing, and they're always sort of dancing to the pulse. right? And this pulse should be also locking into you. Then you see that line coming down. That line is what we call the downbeat. So like the heaviest of, if Don Chan was doing a further down every four, like 1, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, 3, 4. Actually, he's doing the little eye thing. 2, 3, 4. Angry eye, 2, 4. Angry eye, 2, 3, 4. Angry eye. So the angry eye is like downbeat, right? Because it's heavier. He's got to do the angry eye there. So that downbeat is the line. And when I'm looking at the note highway and all these notes coming down the note highway, I'm looking for that line, and that's what I'm building off of, right? Because I know when that downbeat is because of the pulse. 3, 4, 2, 3. I know when it's going to happen. So I'm looking for that, and that's what I'm building the patterns off of. And the more you play this, the more automatic that will become. This is to say also that you shouldn't, like, there's that little circle at the end of the note highway where the circles are going to and where they kind of explode. That's now, right? And everything before that is the future. You want to be looking at the future as much as possible. If you're staring at now, then the patterns coming down are going to come too complicated. You have to be ready to do those in the now. So you can't be thinking about now. You have to be thinking about now before it happens, if that makes sense. Anyway, you want to be gazing into the future of the patterns coming down rather than focusing on exactly what's happening. This is what thinking is. Let's try a classical fusion-y tune, and then we will look at the big challenge of the summer, which I don't know. I don't know if we're going to do it. So this is a mixed classical music with a bit of a rock drum set. I'm going to stick with my hunk of wood and balloon drum. Fun to do. Okay, I'm going to go back a little bit to my notebook and sheet of paper, drum set. Because one of the things I like about this notebook is that my blues and my reds are right beside each other. And we're going to try... Okay, if you didn't tune in yesterday, then you might not know The main objective of the summer is, of course, to make music and have fun. The secondary objective is to I want to be able to play Megalovania on extreme mode, because watching someone play it on YouTube was what made me buy this game in the first place. They released a video of themselves performing the extreme mode on the little plastic drum that you can buy to play along with this game. And I thought it looked quite impressive and something that I might want to learn how to do. That was like 5 years ago, probably. And I still can't play this on extreme mode because it's hard. It's mostly hard because it's fast. This is a song called Megalovania by a composer slash game maker named Toby Fox. If you are a teenager, then this is not news to you, because this game is huge with the young folks, or it was. Now it's all Deltarune. Anyway, Megalovania is a song from it. You could say it's 120 beats per minute. You could also say it's 240 beats per minute. Actually, this one, they interpret it at 240 beats per minute, which is extremely fast. And there's lots of fast little triplets and different things. I can't play it yet on extreme mode, but we're going to try it every day. And I'm going to, by the end of the summer, maybe be able to perform it. So we're going to try it. This is day 2 of me doing attempts. I haven't done a lot of attempts in between day 2 and day 1. But let's try it first at full speed, and then I'll level with you. This is one of those songs where I am going to have to slow down these patterns to learn them at speed. There's no way around it. I just can't physically do it fast enough, or I can't think fast enough to physically do it. Yes. The song sounds like this. Alright. Starts off not so hard, but it gets very quick. Very hard, very quick. Lock in here. Bad idea. All right, so obviously the notebook was the wrong choice, because I was hitting it so fast that it was like sliding all around this, and also my snare, anyway, didn't work. That's fine. But even with the notebook, if I knew these patterns well enough and I was ready for them when they came, then I probably would have been able to perform it on this thing. But it's still too fast. I cannot wrap my mind around it this fast. So yesterday I actually played it at 60% mode, and that seemed to be better. I could play it at that rate. But let's look at it. We're going to look at it at 75% speed, because that also might be achievable. So I'm going to stick with my notebook, even though ultimately it's not the best idea. But at 75% speed, let's see if we can get some of these patterns a little bit better. Okay, minus the last couple of bars. Minus the last couple of bars there. You know, that wasn't too hard. What is the... Yeah, I move so fast that I can't even get like a long strip of the things. So yeah, at 75% speed, those patterns are not too hard. There's some really tricky bits like those 5-bit where it's like 1, 2, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where it's like switching how many are red and how many are blue. Those take practice to get. So 75%, I'm almost there. So I just need to get 25% faster, and then victory achieved. And if you start working at this too, by the end of the summer, I bet you could do this. Maybe, especially if you practice, especially on this song, which I haven't done. I don't generally practice Taiko no Tatsujin, which is part of what I love about it. Is you just play Taiko no Tatsujin, and you get better. It never feels like practicing. There are a couple of sort of bumps in the road that you will have to get beyond, like the transition from hard songs to extreme songs actually did take a little bit of practice. It took a little bit of going on YouTube and slowing things down. I'll also say what helped was I started breaking down these patterns let's just go back there. Started breaking down these patterns into like three-bit patterns, 4-bit patterns, that sort of thing. And you know, there's only 8 3-bit patterns. And if you get those under your hands, then it doesn't actually take that long. And then, of course, once you add numbers, you always double the amount of a 4-bit patterns. There's of course 16 5-bit patterns. There's 32. But you know, you can just play your favorite song, grab your favorite drum, and just go through these like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just go through all of these patterns, different paces. You know, you don't have to do it that fast. You can go do bop boop boop bop boop bop boop bop boop boop bop boop bop bop boop bop bop boop boop. These all feel different in the exchange of where you go. So getting all these into your muscle memory is actually pretty fun. I guess that counts as practice. That's okay. Anyway, that does it for today's Summer Drum-a-Long-a-Thon. Thanks for joining. If you joined in the present, if you joined in the future, howdy. Leave a comment. Thanks for checking it out. We're going to play more tracks from Taiko no Tatsujin tomorrow. We're going to play some beatmap music, beatmaps. And we're going to keep working toward that goal of having fun and conquering Megalovania. All rights reserved to not me. Okay. Peace, friends.